Today I want to talk about the concept that poverty causes crime. Now the reason why I want to talk about this concept because I've been in a debate with a few people on a Zeitgeist video that of course are supporters of that Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project stuff. And they just somehow want to believe in their heart of hearts that poor people are criminals and that we must solve this problem by making them not poor and therefore they won't be criminals. I want to link to a few articles here as reference to why criminality cannot be directly linked as a causative factor with respect to poverty. One comes from Brian Kaplan's article at Econlog, where he actually references low IQs and criminality, and not poverty seemingly being the causative factor here. I also want to link to another article here, where apparently brain damage due to exposure to lead paint in childhood actually leads to increased aggressive and antisocial behavior in adulthood, which I found to be very interesting because it's kind of like the issue with regard to another topic that I read about, which is that substance abuse increases recidivism for prisoners or ex-cons. And all that taken together, what that really means to me when looking at these three articles is the fact that the relationship between poverty and crime seems to be purely incidental. That is to mean that someone who happens to be a criminal, especially a violent criminal or a petty criminal who steals, is more likely to be poor because of their decisions. People don't trust somebody who steals. People don't trust somebody who happens to be physically violent, and therefore they're not likely to get hired and also are not likely to keep a job in the first place. And therefore poverty is more or less assured with respect to their status in life. I also want to point out an article that I found on the New Republic webpage, which is quite interesting because it's from 2010 and it was talking about FBI crime statistics during 2009, which apparently there's evidence between the recession of 2009 and 2008. Basically, the peak of the recession really was 2009, of the financial crisis, and a decline, of all things, with respect to criminality. Violent crimes, petty crimes, there was a decline. So, if the FBI says that they found that within the first 6 months, of like 2010 and so on, that this pattern continued, that things like murder, rape, robbery, assault, auto theft plummeted, then how can we say that poverty causes crime when recessions leads to unemployment, massive unemployment, mind you? And we haven't gone back to previous pre-recession employment or unemployment levels. We're still in the worst of this. So I'm just kind of boggled by just the existence of this black swan of the financial crisis recession and the FBI crime stats. I think that kind of completely turns the entire argument on its head and destroys any assertion that being poor equals being criminal or more likely to be criminal. And I don't know what else to say to it. I guess the reason why I got really pissed off about it is because I come from a working poor family. And when I hear people say, oh, these poor people, they're more likely to be criminal, I'm just like, wait, what? Do they have any evidence for this? They said, well, there's this one study that I read. I'm like, yeah, there's dozens of other studies that say to the contrary, that actually link to other issues, like even sexual abuse makes you more likely to commit crimes, other than, of course, sexual abuse itself to other people. Physical abuse, same thing. Substance abuse, again, same thing. So I don't see how somebody can automatically say being poor equals being likely a criminal. It just doesn't fit the facts. So if anyone ever tells you that being poor or people who are poor are more likely to be criminals, you need to link them to these articles here, especially the one from the New Republic. That completely is the one I think that's the nut shot here, of all things, that will destroy any assumptions with respect to that. And so, long story short, sorry, no, being poor does not mean you're likely to be a criminal by any stretch of the imagination. there's a correlation, not a causation.